Hello student, myself Kuhu Sarkar. Today I am going to start a new series which is non-British writers. To begin with, I am going to start with Latin American writers. So our first writer is John Luis Borges. He was born in 24 August and died in 14 June 1986. He was an Argentine short story writer, essayist, poet, and translator, as well as a key figure in Spanish language and international literature. His best known books are fictions The Elf, published in the 1940s, are the collections of short stories exploring of dreams, labyrinth, chance, infinity, archives, mirrors, and fictional writers and mythologies. Borges' work has contributed to the philosophical literature and fantasy genre and have had a major influence on the magic realist movement in the 20th century Latin American literature. So, born in Buenos Aires, Borges later moved with his family to Switzerland in 1914, where he studied at the College of Geneva. The family traveled widely in Europe, including Spain. On his return to Argentina in 1921, Borges began publishing his poems, essays in surrealist literary journals. In 1961, he came to international attention when he received the first Formentor Prize, which he shared with Samuel Beckett. In 1971, he won the Jerusalem Prize. So, now see the important work of Borges. George Louis Borges' most famous works include Universal History of Infamy, written in 1935, then Fictions or the Fictions, written in 1944, The Elf, written in 1949, The Book of Sand, written in 1975, The Maker, The Library of Babel. These are the short stories. Okay. Borges and I, written in 1960, The South, written in 1953, The Garden of Forking Paths, written in 1941, The House of Asterion, written in 1947, Fumes of Memorias, written in 1942. The Immortal, written in 1947, The Circular, written in 1940, Ima Jund, written in 1948, Book of Imaginary, written in 1957, and Labyrinth. So I here note down all the important works of Borges. So you should remember the all of his works. All of them deal with fictional places and toy with the idea of infinity and mythical creatures that immerse the reader in magical worlds. So Borges also used magical realism in his works, like Gabriela Marquez. The Labyrinth, a poem by George Borges, in the April 1969 issue, The Atlantic, Borges conjured the sort of surreal, disorienting world for which he had become internationally renowned. So, The Labyrinth is a famous poem. Then, many of Borges' best known stories deal with the theme of time, like The Secret Miracle deals with the themes of time. Then, the theme of infinity in The Elf, the mirrors theme in Tyon, Upquar, Orbis, Tertius. So, these are the short stories. Labyrinth theme used in The Two Kings and the Two Labyrinths, The House of Asterion, The Immortal, The Garden of Forking Paths. Right. So, Borges, know about Borges? Borges is considered to be one of the most influential writers of all the times. He penned essays, newspaper articles, poetry, and short stories that he mastered to the highest degree, making himself one of the most famous writers of short fiction in literary history. Borges often used the same symbols and metaphors such as labyrinth and time to get his ideas across the reader. So Borges always used mythologies, magical realism, symbols like labyrinth, time to get his ideas across the readers. The literary device can be identified in all his short stories. Magical realism stories are stories that seem realistic but at some point, usually in the end, consist a drastic change. So he used magical realism. He also influenced by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, a deep philosopher of poetry and poet of philosophy. Borges presents each of his writings as an ontological riddle, and reciprocally a Borgesian story or poem often assumes the pattern of a treatise. So, here we can see that J.M. Coetzee said of him that he, more than anyone, renovated the language of fiction, thus opened the way to a remarkable generation of Spanish American novelists. So, here we also see that in 1971, he won Jerusalem Prize, and his international reputation was consolidated in the 1960s, aided by the growing number of English translations, the Latin American boom, by the successor of Garcia Marquez, 100 Years of Solitude, which is an example, a best example of magical realism. He dedicated his final work, The Conspirators, to the city of Geneva, Switzerland. So that's all for Borges. So if you like my video, please like, comment and share and subscribe my channel. I will bring more videos like this. Thank you.